Morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Sunday morning, March 27th, 22. It's March 27th, 22. I have two perfect reviews of two perfect 10 albums that I don't think get their proper recognition as all-time great albums. The Jonestown Massacre, one of my all-time favorite groups. My favorite single song is from Take It From the Man. David Bowie, I Love You Since I Was 6. Does she love you, you suppose? That's somebody who would know. Who, also an amazing song. I was going to do Take It From the Man. And I was going to do... I don't... Bringing It All Back Home Again. I love that record. It's just Anton Newcomb doing Dylan. So it's like, I made best friends with Buddha, hung out with Jesus too, and then I kicked the devil's ass and I wiped him off my shoe, but I'm alive. Come and get me, I'll survive. How about you? Or you can look me in the eye, how about you? You can look me in the eye. Anyway, the two ones that I chose to review, I wanted to choose a later one and an earlier one. I think this band has several 10s. Hopefully I'll get to more of the 10s, like Who Killed Sergeant Pepper, Strung Out in Heaven, Take It From the Man. But I had to pick two. I had to pick two 10s for Jonestown Massacre, so I picked two of my favorites. And they are Don't Get Lost, which to me it sounds a lot like Psycho Candy by the Jesus and Mary Chain. It also reminds me a lot of New, the way they do the drum tracks, the percussion tracks, and they have these like drony things that develop with synth, and usually the drums stay this repetitive groove, the bass stays this repetitive groove. Also sort of get My Bloody Valentine, shoegaze, Portishead vibes from this album, as well as, the garage rock stuff that you come to expect from Anton Newcomb. Anton Newcomb, you should subscribe to on YouTube. He is the best creator on YouTube. He releases amazing songs for free during quarantine. Like this year and last year, he's released like 30 great songs just for free on his YouTube page. Because he's just chilling in Berlin and he's just like, yeah, here's another masterpiece song. He's got a dozen albums that are great. Nobody cares because he's a crazy person. Anyway, he's actually very talented. I watched the documentary Dig. My takeaway from that was the Dandy Warhols are posers that are mediocre, and the Jonestown Massacre are genius. And crazy in the way that it's kind of required to be as genius as Jonestown Massacre is. Anton Newcomb, one of the great songwriters. He does tributes to a lot of my favorite artists. Like he does I Love You, Sid. He does a Sid Barrett style song. He does that Dylan stuff. He does that garage rock 60s stuff, especially in Take It From the Man. It sounds like early Who, early Kinks, early British Invasion stuff. And he plays it expertly, like at the quality of Who or British Invasion. Anyway, I should start reviewing an album, right? Because it's 15 minutes, and I'm going to spend 5 minutes just talking about how I think Anton Newcomb is a genius. Anyway, Don't Get Lost. It's got the new rhythm section, the krautrock rhythm, and then also the shoegazy, Portisheady, Massive Attack type influence. To my ear. Maybe he's listening to different stuff. Anyway, Open Minds Closed Now is the opener. And it starts sounding like these distorted, intelligible vocals enter, but it's this pulsing groove. That's one note. That's Year of Our Lord, by the way. Sunday? You gotta do Year of Our Lord on Sunday. The 27th, 3/27/22. Anyway. Obey! Okay. So, yeah. Open minds, closed now. The groove develops and gets wilder, the synth figures, but it remains this krautrocky, unrelenting, new progression. I mean NEU, the band new. I don't mean a thing that's new. And the beat stays steady throughout. It's a great opener. Melodies, actual echo chamber. It sounds like a dub song. This sounds like Lee Scratch Perry to me. Except there's these Western cowboy guitars and these random lyrical interjections. But again, it's this hypnotic groove that remains simple. Anton starts just naming different colors as the lyrics. Anyway, musically, I think it's quite compelling. Resist much, obey little. Again, that unrelenting beat as carries you through this entire record. More coherent voices, more variety of guitar chords to this. The lyrics are often this female singer. I don't know if it's the same woman that was on Anemone, one of my favorite songs. It's on the next record. But there's also foreign voices, like people speaking different languages or with different accents. There's a guy who sings a song that has a thick British accent, maybe Scottish. But anyway, Resist Much, Obey Little. Great little trip. Charmed, I'm sure. It's this psychedelic synth interlude with keys and bass, and then brings you into Groove is in the Heart, which sounds nothing like Groove is in the Heart, if you know that song. It's this echoing synth figure and this funky, like, actual drum beat, trap set beat, punctuated by a single tambourine at the end of every measure. But it's the same beat. Like, he plays the same measure every single beat, pretty much. And the lyrics are like an argument or a conversation between a man and a woman, perhaps lovers, perhaps friends. And it's a delightful song. One Slow Breath is back to the charmed, I'm sure, style, dense electronics for music, and there's spoken word over it. There's some man saying, have things changed? Are we still a bunch of slaves? Cradle to the grave. We are free souls trapped inside the cage. Over this piano line. And then he continues, programmed by the system to die in prison, spirit in the abyss. I don't know who sings this. Does not sound like Anton. It's a wonderful song. Throbbing Gristle, I was excited to hear because I love Throbbing Gristle, but this does not sound like Throbbing Gristle. It is a drone rock with dirty synth effects and great female voice, and it devolves into like sci-fi computer noise towards the end. And then it's Fact 67, which has a nice funky danceable groove with percussion and a memorable nice bass line. And the vocals don't sound like Anton, but they're good, straightforward. This is one of the more straightforward lyrical songs on the record. Then Anton comes in with a few patient guitar notes, and then that line over the underlying groove. Again, it's this juxtaposition of that like cowboy movie, kind of like sparse lines that sound almost like, you know, stabs of a western string in a spaghetti western. Then it's more layering of synth effects, increasingly busy, eager guitar lines. The guitar develops into this cool thing, and it slowly fades out. Then Dropping Bombs in the Sun. This is a blissed out little sliver of dancey drone pop. It's an absolute delight. It's one of my favorite songs on the record. When it drops into the beat, it's actually this euphoric, like dancey, almost like a Cure song or a New Order song, like a piece of synth pop and the female vocals float in and out. It's hard to understand. It's overblown in a My Bloody Valentine way. But this song reminds me of Cocteau Twins. It reminds me of Cure. It reminds me of a lot of great artists. UFO Paycheck sounds like a dark piano piece with this repeating busy drum pattern, almost like Reckoner by Radiohead, but instead of the falsetto York singing, it's pianos and synths doing the melodic development. And it moves through this cool electronic bridge back to the main groove. And then it's the juxtaposition of these bridge figures over the beat. I don't think there's a drum fill on this record. Like, if there's a drummer, he is playing the same beat every measure. Which, again, adds to this hypnotic quality. Adds to this, this drone. Geldins Hers. That can't possibly be the title to this. Geldins Hers? Yeah, Geldins Hers Men's is the name of the song. Starts with the jazzy, stumbly triplet bass, complete with sax soloing. The bass is way more prominent, and the synth and sax battle over the beat. Moves through a synth bridge until you're just left with unaccompanied sax. This is a jazz song. Acid to me is no worse than war. Great title. Sounds like the Groove is in the Heart song, not Groove is in the Heart, like UFO Paycheck. Like, sounds like, this almost sounds like Throbbing Gristle. Throbbing Gristle does not sound like Throbbing Gristle. Sounds like the Groove is in the Heart is Throbbing Gristle. To me. Then, Nothing New to Trash Like You. Nothing New to Trash Like You. It's a disoriented guitar wail, and then it's back to the droney groove with different chord and key changes. It's not so monotonous as some of the other tracks. They play alternate rhythm section with different chords, and it's met with this great simple organ line. Lyrics are great in this song. Ich ban Kling. Klang. Ich ban Klang. That is the final song on the record. Sounds like a Boards of Canada song, complete with foreign female vocal samples chopped up over like a church organ back and forth sample until it takes like 3 minutes, and then there's rocking and orchestration underneath to present itself. Still over the Japanese, perhaps, vocals, maybe Chinese, I'm not sure. But it's a great ending to the record. It's almost like an ambient piece at first, and then it just kind of falls apart in the way that the songs do on this record. And those are the songs. This record came out in 2017. It's a great record. You should listen to it. Another great record that you should listen to is their Satanic Majesties second service. It starts with All Around You. This welcoming intro, this acid bliss, magical mystery tour style intro. Great, optimistic, if somewhat naive lyrics. It's kind of your narrator and home base for this record. You'll return to this theme, this melody, twice again in this record as you go throughout. This is like your central scrutinizer. This is your narrator. Notice I like the ones with narrators. Notice I like the ones with lyrics. Or the ones with no lyrics. I just don't like bad lyrics. But anyway, fortunately, Anton Newcomb, I enjoy his lyrics. After All Around You, Cold to the Touch is just great 60s garage rock. Same with Donovan Said. It's absolutely beautiful. One of my favorites on the record. Has great lyrics. I love Donovan too. But just the chorus is undeniable. It's just like a great lost 60s Beatles song or Donovan song or early Who song. It's great tasteful synth work over the percussion, tambourine and congas and bells, I believe. In India You is like their George Harrison sitar song. Within You, Without You type stuff. With the odd rhythms, the prominent sitar, transcendent, trippy, cosmic lyrics, but it's great and catchy. I actually prefer this to most of the Indian dirges on the Beatles records. No Come Down is one of the best songs on the record, one of the best Brian Jonestown Massacre songs. This is a Matt Hollywood song. I think their peak was when they had Matt Hollywood in the band. He was a great songwriter in his own right. He was also a good accompaniment to Anton, and he was a great rhythm guitar player who would come up with ideas on his own. I think that's why this period of 90s Brian Jonestown Massacre is so magical, because Matt Hollywood is like kind of the Lennon to the McCartney of Anton. Or vice versa, you could argue, but I think honestly Matt Hollywood is the Lennon. Yeah. If there's a God in heaven, then tell him where I am. Tell him I'm real busy now and I'll see him when I can. The best is, I'm gonna climb the walls, I'm gonna swing the moat. I got the God, my Father, jumping down my throat. I got the Virgin Mary naked on my bed, and I got sweet Lord Jesus living in my head. Oh yeah. And then when it goes back into the thing, it's like this dun 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 dun. But when it gets to that thing I was just singing, it's like this. I'm gonna swim the boat, I'm gonna catch the It's great. It just builds and falls apart in this beautiful way. No Come Down. The second best song on this record, in my opinion. Around You Everywhere. It's an organ synth piece with the intro melody from the first song on the record, or All Around You. Then Jesus. Jesus is a drony folk song. To me, it sounds like a less successful version of Anemone. The same song on the record, it just sounds like Anemone, even the chord progression, the guitar soloing, and the lyrical style, but Anemone is just the superior song. But Jesus is great. If you give me a B-plus version of Anemone, that's still a 10, because Anemone is an all-timer. Anyway, before you is chamber music sounding, instrumental, acoustic, traditional piece. It's lovely. Miss June 75 is this narcotic, blissed out folk rock piece. Reminds me almost of Spacemen 3. I think it's a Hollywood song. I really like the Matt Hollywood songs. Anyway, Anemone, next. One of the greatest songs ever recorded, and why I chose this album instead of Take It For The Man. Although David Bowie, I Loved You Since I Was 6, upon re-listening to these Brian Jonestown Massacre records, I actually think that's their best song. And I actually think Take It From The Man is a better, more consistent record than Satanic Majesties, but it's less, it's lower highs, but it's more consistent. Like, you can put start to finish Take It From The Man, and it's more consistent, but it doesn't tap into the crazy, trippy folk explosions that Brian Jonestown is capable of. So I wanted to give you albums that showed you the breadth creatively of these people, not just their ability to play 60s garage rock very competently. Baby, pre-praise. Anemone, do I need to read lyrics to Anemone? Hopefully you know Anemone. I only play it for real, baby. Baby, pre-praise. Short organ piece. Followed by a woman speaking Chinese? Breaks into the Indian Donovan 60s Beatles folk sound. Feelers is next. Feelers is like this joyous ritual with these spiritual, ambitious lyrics. I enjoy the acoustic solo figure he plays over the percussion, synth environs. Then it's Bad Baby, which starts with a vocalizing melody over these chords, then it breaks down before the first verse starts. It moves through a sweet bridge, returns to the progression, but it's a different, more melodic guitar line now. They've developed it. The percussion is eager to dig into this new freedom as the percussion breakdown shows before repeating the wordless vocalizing, which I assume is the chorus. It is sung by a chorus, so it is technically a chorus. There's not more, there's like at least 3 people singing. Starts and stops, then silence, then restarts. This is a pattern in this song. It'll just stop and then it restarts, but when it picks up again, it feels like they add stuff. Eventually, this develops into this blissful peak and then breaks down into this playful percussion synth flute improv. The drums speed up, play faster, and end with the bridge figure, emphatically articulated once more. That transition they use of that da-na-na-na, like the simple percussion that they use to transition, it's like they take a solo until they state that one more time, then the song's over. 'Cause I love her. 'Cause, I love her. Straightforward, folky, acoustic guitar rock love song. Lovely chord changes. This is a great song. You want me to read the lyrics? It's already too long. Baby Love of My Life, another instrumental interlude playing this familiar melody I can't quite place. Maybe it's a new melody. Sounds like a tease of something. Perhaps I'm just projecting. Slow down. Fuck tomorrow. Sitar, acoustic guitar, percussion, dirge. I love the Anton vocals when they come in. It has that Sgt. Peppery horn string production over it. Ends with a new, more melodic, poppy guitar figure with the synth and sitar rig underneath. It's a lovely song, which segues seamlessly into Bad Baby, 'Cause I Love Her, Baby Love of My Life, Slow Down, Fuck Tomorrow. Here it comes. Yeah, here it comes. I already did the Slow Down, Fuck Tomorrow, right? Here It Comes is like nice 60s garage pop. But this band, I don't know if you know this, this is in 1996. So this is 30 years after the music they're creating. But they're creating more of that music. Because frankly, 60s garage pop is generally better than modern rock and roll music. Then it's back to All Around You reprise. The one final cathartic, and the lyrics are just love, just optimism. I find the chord progression beautiful. I find the words to be gorgeous and inspiring. I love these 2 records. I love the Jonestown Massacre. I think they're one of the underrated rock and roll bands. They truly explore the breadth of all different styles of music to the degree that they put out their version of a Dylan album, their version of a British Invasion album, their version of a krautrock album, their version of a... It's like there's nothing off the menu for Jonestown Massacre. It's like one song could sound like Stereolab, and then the next song could sound like David Bowie, and then the next song could sound like, John Wesley Harding era Bob Dylan. And the next song could sound like a progressive rock song. Or it could sound like an early Who song. Or Rolling Stones, like classic rock. But it just as easily could sound like Silver Apples. Just as easily could sound like Can. Just as easily could sound like all of these different bands that are my favorite bands. The reason that the Jonestown Massacre, I think, is one of the greatest bands ever, because like Ween, like Pavement, like Fish, like Animal Collective, like Mogwai, like, I don't know, there's not that many bands in this class, but there's certain bands that are not obedient to genre. They just play music. And that's the goal, I think, is to demolish genres. Miles Davis made a career out of it. He's considered one of the greatest artists of all time. I have to do all the Miles Davis records. It's taken me a while. There's a lot of them to listen to. And then there's a lot of thoughts. So, anyway, 2 Perfect 10 records. Brian Jonestown Massacre. Just gave them to you. Listen to any Brian Jonestown Massacre. Subscribe to Anton Newcomb on YouTube and listen to what he's making right now. It's pretty good.